So you hire for the personality and not for the skills, because you can teach the skills, but it's very hard to teach personality. So
Mm,
yeah, I think that's very true. Sometimes it's just hard because it's really hard to get to the bottom of someone's personality.
hmm
They can act like very happy and very stable and very whatever, but and then once you hire them, maybe they have like a crazy life, right? So I think it's hard, and I say crazy
Uh-huh.
life because I'm the attorney on the other side who's
Uh-huh.
doing settlement agreements with people who have a crazy life,
Uh-huh. hmm
who weren't able to do their job. So I think, yes, you should always hire for the personality, but especially if you need to hire professionals who have some skills, you should test the skills.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Learning podcast. My name is Joao Camargo, and my guest here today is Sara Shikhman, who is a managing partner at Lengia Law. Sarah, thank you so much for being here today. I'm super excited to have this conversation.
Awesome. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, why don't we start off with you just telling everyone a little bit more about Lengia, what you guys are all about, who you help, and some further context about yourself too.
Yeah. I am a healthcare entrepreneur myself. I have started a med spa, and even before that, I started an online furniture company with a couple of friends. And even before that, I went to law school and practiced corporate law. And so I started the law firm in 2019 with a vision to really help first-time entrepreneurs start their first healthcare practice. And so that's what we do. We started very, very small, just in my living room, essentially, and now have a whole team of 20 people. And all we do is help entrepreneurs start healthcare practices.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And tell me a little bit more about that help, because I think so many times entrepreneurs can either be a few steps ahead where it's just a matter of doing the execution. And some of them can be in the phases where there is no plan. It is just really trying to figure out where to move from here. So how does that help come along? What exactly are you guys helping them with in that sense to help their businesses start and grow?
Yeah, healthcare is a regulated industry. So every state has its own rules about who can own a healthcare practice, who can do certain treatments, how it has to be structured, who you have to register with. So we help with all that. And sometimes, like you said, we have clients where they may have already started. They may already have $1 million in revenue or $5 million in revenue, but they had a surprise visit from the nursing board and they realized, oh, like everything that they've been doing is a little bit wrong. Or
Mm,
they had a lawsuit from a patient, or they worked with an influencer who was supposed to post 10 pictures of them on Instagram and disappeared. So
mm,
we deal with all those kinds of things. And then a lot of our clients are just starting out and they may not have a business at all yet. They just have an idea. And we tell them, okay, it's possible to do this. This is what it's going to take. And then we do it for them. So we
mhm.
form the LLC, we do the contracts, we help them find a medical director, and all the little other things that a healthcare business requires.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And tell me a little bit more as well on some of the most common mistakes. I'm sure as you described, there's so many different scenarios that can happen, from influencers to lawsuits and everywhere in between. Tell me about some of the most common patterns, some of the things you see that some of these entrepreneurs are either doing wrong or they are just maybe ignorant about.
Yeah, and I think we're all ignorant sometimes about certain things, right? Sometimes
Yes.
we don't want to
Guilty.
know them, and sometimes we know them, and like deep in our mind, we know that they're there, but we choose to ignore them because maybe we don't have the money, or we don't have the time, or we just figure like we'll just do it and hope for the best. And a lot of the mistakes actually transcend the healthcare industry, and I think they'd be applicable in any industry. So the number one mistake is hiring the wrong person. And
Mm,
that happens. And I just talked to a friend who has a manufacturing business, right? That happens in every business. So a lot of times people hire very quickly and they hire the wrong person. They don't have them sign any paperwork. The person starts and then they realize, oh, this is not the right person for
uh-huh.
me. And they have to have a separation. And sometimes the separation, especially in the aesthetics beauty business, does not
Mhm.
go very well.
Mm.
It goes on Instagram. People start posting weird reviews, stuff like that. So I would say that's actually like a common thing that goes wrong.
Interesting. And what would you say are the correct steps to take to make sure that when you're bringing someone on, they are the right person and that it flows smoothly, as opposed to having some of unfortunate situations happening?
Yeah, I think that there's this rule, right? That I'm sure a lot of people have heard about: hire slowly and fire quickly. I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of people hire very quickly, and it's like I'm so
Yes.
excited. I just hired 10 new people, and like, I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, that's great. So I
Yeah.
think having a thorough interview process
Uh-huh.
and a very detailed job description that's
Uh-huh.
written to just make sure that your expectations are correct. And that's the
Mm,
same thing with like vendors too, right? Like let's say you hire I don't know, a vendor through which you're going to do marketing. Like it's good to have a contract with them that's specific. What are the KPIs? Otherwise, how do you know if they're performing well?
mm, Interesting. And I'm curious actually to learn a little bit more about that interview process too, because I think that's where so many businesses can go wrong in taking action and executing on a lot of things. How long do you think that slow hiring process should be? Maybe it's 2, 3, 4, 5 interviews. What are some of the key things that you're looking in those stages to make sure that when you're having the conversations, you're actually engaging them in the right way that will prepare them for the role and obviously be a right culture fit and company fit for the growth of the organization from the get go.
Yeah, I would say 4 or 5 interviews at minimum. And if
Mm,
you may say, "Well, I only have 3 people at my company." Okay, then have your mom help you. Have your friend help you. It doesn't matter. Like even if the person doesn't necessarily work for you, they can help you interview. But also there are lots of like free online tools like personality tests. One that I love is called Predictive Index, where someone can take a test and you could see what is their personality type. So
mm,
one thing to ask yourself is what kind of person am I trying to hire? Like, do I want someone who's going to follow orders, like a doer? Or do I want someone who's going to be a big picture ideas person? Do I want
mhm,
someone who's going to be creative? And these type of personality tests can help you. So if you can't flesh that out in the interview process, you can use one of those online tests.
Interesting. A common pattern that I've heard in now over 250 conversations that I've had with other business owners and leaders as well is that oftentimes when they're hiring, as long as they have a majority of the skills that are necessary for the role, they're actually not hiring for the skills. They're hiring for the character of the person. They're hiring for the personality, how hungry they are, how proactive they are, and all those things. Do you find that that's also a right approach to take when doing that process?
Yeah, definitely. So you hire for the personality and not for the skills because you can teach the skills,
Yeah.
but it's very hard to teach personality. So
Mm,
yeah, I think that's very true. Sometimes it's just hard because it's really hard to get to the bottom of someone's personality.
mhm.
So they can act like very happy and very stable and very whatever, but and then when once you hire them, maybe they have, like, a crazy life, right? So, I think it's I think it's hard, and I say crazy
Uh-huh.
life because I'm the attorney on the other side who's
Uh-huh.
doing settlement agreements with people who have a crazy life,
Mhm. Mhm.
who weren't able to do their job. So, I think, yes,
Hmm.
you should always hire for the personality, but especially if you need to hire professionals who have some skills, you should test the skills. So if
Mhm.
it is important to you, like in the healthcare field, like let's say for the nurse to be able to administer some particular treatment, have them come in for a shadow day and have them at least follow you around and ask them questions about the treatment. After which you'll be able to tell, like, do they actually know, or maybe they
Mhm.
have no
Mhm.
idea.
Mhm. Mhm. I like that a lot, and just to finalize that too, recently or not so recently, maybe a couple months back, I heard that if you're going through an interview process, one of the key things to look like is, are you actually learning anything from that person? Because
Mhm.
oftentimes they are going to share certain insights or pieces of information that really show how engaged they are. And if you learn something new, that's always a nice check mark to put as a bonus to show that they're a good candidate as well. So
Hmm.
thank you for sharing that too, Sarah. I'd love to shift the conversation now a little bit more into the company itself and what you guys are doing and how you guys are growing. I think something that I always try to highlight in this podcast is that businesses are not always just sunshines and rainbows. There's many great aspects to it, many rewards that can be achieved, but also many challenges along the way. So, what are some of the challenges that sometimes you guys face in growing the company, maintaining that scalable, I guess, so you can say scalable trajectory, but also achieving the impact that you want for all the clients you help as well?
Yeah. We as a company really try to promote flexibility for our staff. So we let people work from anywhere.
Hmm.
We let people make their own hours as much as possible. And so a lot of times we may have somebody, working from home and they're working West Coast hours, whereas a client may need them East Coast hours. But at the same time, we always want to be professional and managing a remote team is hard. sometimes some of my team members I have never met in person, and it's
Mm,
hard really like coaching someone and ensuring that the quality of service is high if you're not there like physically in the same proximity as them. So you have
mm,
to use a lot of like online tools to make sure that things are actually getting done. And I think that you have to measure things. If you're not
mhm,
measuring them, if you don't have data, then you could never say, well, this was done well or this wasn't done well. Then it's all subjective. So I love numbers. I love data. We use all these tools to see like how quickly is email being answered? What's the quality of the email response?
mhm,
And
mhm,
are clients happy? So it's a challenge, I think,
mm.
managing a remote team for sure.
Interesting. So then that in that way you have that clarity and exactly what's happening on the back end and then you can adjust for it. What do you wish what do you wish you knew before you started this whole journey or maybe the business right now that you think would have made things a lot easier and getting rid of some of those challenges?
Hmm. I think that when I first started the business, I thought a lot of things are much more complicated than they really are. I
Hmm,
wish I had a little more belief in myself and my own abilities that like where I could solve a lot of different client issues. Now, when a client comes to me, chances are like I've heard that kind of issue before and I already
yeah.
know the answer. So some initially like with the first 100 clients, sometimes I would feel scared getting on the phone because I would say, "Oh my god, what if they ask me something and I don't know the answer?"
Mm,
But now, like with experience, I realized that actually I do know the answer
mhm,
most of the time, or I could find the answer relatively quickly, and so can my team. So I think I wish I had a little more self confidence in the beginning.
uh-huh. Yeah, and that's it's great that you bring that up because I think conviction and that confidence in self easily translates over to the client when you're speaking to them because if you're speaking with confidence with conviction then they believe you and they have good confidence and conviction in you as well and then that supplements the entire relationship the results that they can get from there the actions that they take et cetera et cetera et cetera. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think with lawyers are kind of trained to speak not so precisely to say,
Mm,
"Well, most likely the outcome will be this," or
uh-huh,
to like hedge the words. And clients
mm,
don't really like that.
mm.
Clients are not looking for the most likely like answer, the answer.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I've had
Mm,
to train myself and train my team to really speak differently too. When
mhm,
clients are saying, "Can I do this?" The answer should not be most likely yes. That is not
mhm,
a good answer. That is a frustrating answer. The
mm.
answer is yes or no.
Yeah. I think that's awesome because that goes back to what you were saying before and having that clarity, making sure that everybody's on the same page in what's actually going on, as opposed to just guesswork all over the place, which doesn't lead anywhere. Doesn't lead anywhere. A question that I always like to ask here on the podcast, Sarah, I want to ask you as well because I think it allows everyone who is listening in, but also every guest to just take off the limitations or the capacity for thinking because it just allows them to go beyond. So here's a question: let's say you had a magic wand, and can you just wave this amazing wand and solve one challenge, an obstacle, a hurdle in the company that would allow you to hit all your impact goals, but of course also your revenue goals, your client acquisition goals, all the targets that you have when looking at the company's growth. I think so many times as business leaders, we are focused on a million different priorities and we're trying to solve them all at once. But for this wand, you just have one single thing. You solve that, all the targets for growth get achieved. What do you want to solve?
Hmm. I don't know. That's a complicated question. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's any one thing.
Mhm. It's never one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's never one thing. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I would say hiring more great lawyers faster. Like
Hmm,
it takes us time to find really great team members right now. I'd
hmm,
love it if somehow I could find better, like great team members faster. Because right now it just takes a long time because of our how extensive our interview process is and all the testing and that we do like a test assignment, a personality test,
hmm,
and that,
hmm,
so
hmm,
at the end of it, a lot of people end up, not meeting the criteria. So maybe if I
Interesting.
could clone some of my great staff members, if there was like a cloning machine, I would love that because I have some people who are amazing, and I
Uh-huh.
wish I could just like have 10 of them.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. And is that more so to try to balance out supply and demand type of thing, where there's a lot of supply coming through from the clients, and now you obviously need a lot of demand coming through from the clients, and now a lot of supply internally to be able to fulfill that? Or is that side of client or having more opportunities coming through also sometimes a hurdle that can happen in relation to hiring?
It's clients. We have a lot of clients and they need a lot of support. So if we had more staff, we could provide more support. So our firm is growing and we had so many questions and emails and clients need us. And I wish we had more time to like do even more for them. But
Hmm.
our limitation is people.
Interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that one. And I do have one final question here for you as well, Sarah, which is a question that's actually not from me. It's a question from our last guest to you, and they had absolutely no idea who you were. So here's the question. You ready for it? The question is, how do you handle the balance between high quality and cost, making sure you keep the value of what you do as high as possible, whilst also making it affordable for your customers?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know who asked it, but they are a smart person. Um, One thing we do is transparent pricing. So a lot of law firms don't have their prices online for some reason, very strangely for me as a
Mhm,
consumer myself. So what we do is we right away tell our customers like, what the price is going to be. So they know we're not going to be the cheapest, but we're also not going to be the most expensive.
mhm,
And
mhm,
then at the same time, before giving any work product to a client, it goes through a very serious review process internally so that for a good price, we're able to deliver a really good work product.
mhm,
So it's
mhm,
being transparent with our clients on the price and then also having a review process for all our products. So it's very consistent no matter who's doing it and it's high quality.
mhm, mhm,
And we also use a lot of tools. So not just human um, I guess, capital or human power, but also lots of AI tools, lots of document review tools so that we're not just reviewing it as humans, we're also reviewing things using AI.
mhm, mhm. Awesome. And you said something there in the middle that reminded me of a quote, which is, if you're the best, you cannot be the cheapest. And if you're the cheapest, you simply cannot be the best. Do you
Yeah,
agree with that?
you
Right?
can't be both. I mean, like
Yeah.
Walmart, right?
Yeah.
Walmart is the one of the cheapest, but is the quality of their stuff the
Mm,
best? No, but they go toward the consumer
mhm,
that's looking for value, right?
mhm.
So
Exactly.
yeah, you can't be all things to all people. And some clients, right, look at our price and say, "Wow, it's too expensive for us." So, and that's okay. I'd
Yeah.
rather them know that like right away than
Yep.
sign up and a month later be like, "Oh my gosh, I already spent X number of dollars and, my expectations were not met."
Yeah, no, I really like that as well because I think the value that is shown from, I'll call it premium pricing, but for anyone listening, you take that as you will. The value that gets shown and attached to that is very clear as well because then they can see that this investment, yes, it might be a higher investment that you would otherwise, but then the value that you gain from it, you don't look at the price, you look at the value and the outcome coming through. And I'm sure that's something that you guys teach for a lot of the companies that you guys help with as well, is focus on the value, focus on the outcome as opposed to what's going to be happening up front, because the upfront price, the risk, that's going to be everywhere, but the outcome is what really matters for all the customers coming through.
Definitely.
Agreed?
Agreed. Agreed.
Amazing. Amazing. Sara Shikhman, everyone. Sarah, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this conversation. Where should people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you and, of course, also a little bit more about the company?
They can go to our website, which is lengialaw.com, or they could buy my book on Amazon. It's called Med Spa Confidential. It's the number one bestseller about med spas. So we'll teach you how to start a med spa, grow a med spa, and sell your med spa.
Amazing. I will leave as many links as I can down below here if you're listening and you want to check that out. And if you enjoy this conversation, you want to hear more conversations like this, please hit the subscribe button and I will see you on the next episode. Sarah, thank you again for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.